I-24 News Morning Edition on this. What day is it?
It's February 1st. It's the month of, you should know this.
It's the month of my birthday. I think we should celebrate that, and that should be the theme of every show. But given the fact that I'm not still the center of all attention, Ali Wakid smiling on the side here, let's start with the news of the day that Ami Kaufman's going to give us.
Over the past weekend, everybody in Israel is talking about this story that was, leaked from Snowden, of course, Edward Snowden. The gift that keeps on giving. I think he has enough material for probably at least a decade.
And small, I'm glad you said that, for at least a decade, trickling it in.
Trickling is the right word.
And I think also as a life insurance to himself.
Yeah,
but that's my conspiracy theory.
No, I don't think I think it's a good point. This one is showing that UK and US they have been spying on Israeli drones for almost 20 years. Some people are calling this the worst breach in Israeli intelligence history. Right. We have a report about it. Let's check it out.
Let's take a look.
It is being described as the most severe information breach in the history of Israel's intelligence corps. Top-secret documents leaked by Edward Snowden reveal a joint espionage program run by British and American intelligence codenamed Anarchists. Its goal, to intercept and monitor communications linked to the advanced weapon systems and technologies of various countries active in the Middle East. A particular focus was put on Israeli systems. Dr. Ronen Bergman, a journalist for Israeli newspaper Yediot Ahronot, published the revelations Friday, with the findings simultaneously released by The Intercept and Der Spiegel. On Sunday, Bergman revealed that Anarchist included a sub-program codenamed Runway, in which the UK and US closely monitored Israel's Arrow 3 missile defense system, specifically the Black Sparrow missile, which serves as a target for Arrow 3 in simulated tests. Anarchist was operational as early as 1998, and much of it is focused on Israeli drone technology. American and British intelligence experts were able to decode encrypted communications from Israeli unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, operating over the Gaza Strip, as well as drones preparing for a potential strike against Iran.
The Americans, in an internal anarchist document, wrote, "From our perspective, the infiltration of the UAV fleet is one of the most important, if not the only method, of assessing Israel's capabilities, intentions, and plans in the region, which serves to protect major U.S. security interests."
The data was picked up by a listening post belonging to GCHQ, the British equivalent of the NSA, in the Troodos mountain range on the island of Cyprus. The documents leaked include an image of what appears to be a weaponized UAV, a technology that Israel is not publicly admitted to possessing. Ironically, a previous leak from Edward Snowden in 2013 exposed documents attesting to cooperation between the NSA and Israeli military intelligence. But the latest revelations reveal a much more tenuous relationship.
The U.S. fears that Israel will carry out actions that are contrary to its interests in the region and to those of its allies. This is almost the exact wording in documents that are part of Operation Anarchist. In certain documents, we see that from 2009, more and more pressure is put on anarchist operatives who are increasingly asked to infiltrate the Israeli intelligence services and extract information. And it is no coincidence that this occurred at a time when distrust was growing between the White House and the Israeli Prime Minister's office.
That allies routinely spy on each other may no longer come as a major surprise following a series of classified information leaks in recent years. Nevertheless, these new revelations are still likely to cause unease on both sides of the Atlantic.
Can there be more unease caused between the U.S. and Israel? I wonder.
Right. Good question.
I know. No, but before we move...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, before we move... No, you want to move ahead?
Move ahead, okay.
Then I'll surprise you. Yes.
Like I said, Israeli media just going berserk over this. I just want to show you one op-ed from Times of Israel, kind of sums it up, written by editor-in-chief of Times of Israel, David Horowitz. Let's show you this quote, the money quote I think it is. Israeli leaders brag endlessly about what a cyber powerhouse we are. You know, we always say that we're startup nation. Startup nation.
Yeah.
And yet our most sophisticated communications, it turns out, have been continually decrypted for the best part of 2 decades. Tell me, did we not change the encryption process for 20 years?
It's a good question.
Excellent question by David Horowitz.
It's a good question.
And I think a lot of people in Israel are asking.
Yeah.
And putting Hamas tunnels and the U.S. espionage in the same title.
Exactly. No, it makes you wonder if all this money funneled, according to Israeli administrations, towards security, is it? Mm-hmm. Is it really funneled there?
Right,
okay.
Right.
Yes.
Off to Turkey and Russia. We heard recently Turkey complained that another Russian jet got into its airspace. Now the Pentagon is taking sides, of course, and of course picking side with NATO. U.S. called on Russia to respect Turkey's airspace late on January 30th.
Thank Turkey for not gunning it down?
Exactly, yes. For I guess showing some restraint as
sure.
opposed to last time. NATO is standing in solidarity with Turkey. So this time, as you mentioned, right, they did not shoot down this jet.
But I just think it goes to show, and I'm glad that Ali Waqid is with us in studio, how fragile those borders are on the battle of ISIS, that any kind of incident as such can just explode it even more. I don't know where you're heading, but I want to just say, Ali, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes, moving along.
Okay, let's talk a little about the Zika virus, which over the weekend gained even more momentum and press coverage. A lot more, scary words that are being used by the. Terminology has changed. A lot of the criticism is already being pointed against the World Health Organization. As you can see from this headline from The Guardian, the WHO says that the Zika virus could be bigger than Ebola. So people are starting to already compare this to Ebola, where 11,000 people died in Africa. So I just want to show you how some media outlets are treating this. First one from Yahoo, an analysis by a man named Jerry Adler. Is it Ebola or is it not Ebola? Right. And he just shows one example. The other thing about Zika, he says, that reminds people of Ebola is that there is no vaccine or specific treatment. Even though right now they are working on a vaccine for Ebola, but then when it broke out, there was no vaccine. But whereas Ebola spreads with frightening ease by direct contact, Zika is transmitted largely, if not entirely, by way of mosquitoes. So that is why people are comparing it, as I said, to Ebola.
To Ebola, and I think for the Americas, it's already the Americas Ebola. I mean, just over the weekend, reading articles about how many unborn children will be supposedly affected by it. It's terrifying to look at the next generations or the next decades in the Americas, in South America. Right.
And as I mentioned before, the blame game has already started. This is one from The Guardian, from a man named Simon Jenkins. He says that Zika's greatest ally is human in transit. It's a really strong headline. Listen to what he says. The WHO's message is the plotting one, that women should don insect repellent and not get pregnant. With over half of Latin American pregnancies unintended and mosquitoes endemic, it is like holding back a tsunami with a spoon. The Catholic Church is equally unhelpful. It discourages birth control, opposes state contraception programs, and bans abortion. That is very poignant op-ed from The Guardian.
Important point, especially for South America, because I think ultimately if this continues with Zika, the person to determine the way of action will be the Pope.
Right.
Will be the Pope. Okay.
Lastly, I think all we have time for, I'm not sure, Obama is going to visit a mosque in Baltimore County. This is the first time that President Obama is going to visit an American mosque as president. In his 7 years, that's kind of, I did not know that, but in his 7 years as president, he has never visited a mosque. And of course, this is happening on the heels, first of all, of the San Bernardino shootings, and second, on the background of Trump and all his, basically that mention of banning Muslims entering the country. This is a very interesting time, of course, ahead of the caucuses and New Hampshire primaries. So very interesting.
And he's doing it today. And
he's doing it on Wednesday.
Because Wednesday is visit your mosque day all across the world. And I think the important bit about it, for 7 years, you touched on something very important. He did not visit a mosque. He visited synagogues. He visited churches. But I think the lead up to this is that for years a man named Barack Hussein Obama could not enter a mosque without it being used by his opponents.
He did visit mosques in other countries, but I think in
Jakarta. In Egypt in 2008,
2010 in Jakarta.
And 2008 when he visited the region, whatnot. But in his own country, he couldn't do it because of political capital. And I'm glad he's doing it now because they are people who live in the United States. Ami, we have time for one headline without the report.
Very interesting headline about what's going on with the migrant issue. There's a new report out that's saying that 10,000 migrant children may be missing in Europe. First of all, we're talking about millions of people that are coming to Europe, but 10,000 kids that might be, what we're fearing is they might be used for sex slaves. So the Europe's police agency says that they don't know.
Most likely are. I mean, I'm sorry to say, it's just years of journalism. One could think that if children disappear during times of upheaval, they're going to be taken.
I just find that number
being used.
That number astounding. 10,000 people to not know where they are. Children.
Children.
Wow.
Across the continent. Ami, I want to thank you. We're going to move.